Where do you guys want to start? Were you reviewing it?
Yes, we were reviewing it.
What do you say? Where should we start?
We can start where we left off.
Yeah.
Since we reviewed pretty thoroughly the last two shiurim we had together, the Monday and the Tuesday of last week.
Mishnah, how is that? That would be about 8 lines from the top on page Pei. Mishnah, it begins. The line begins with the word "bei kol hakam asvoris." Okay. We are on page Pei, about 8 lines from the top. The line begins with the word boy, kol hatayim v'asoris. And we are talking about Chochmah and binah. In binah there is what's called hasaga. Hasaga means comprehension. But if I would give it a more precise translation, it would be apprehension. Apprehension we use in two different combinations. To apprehend something, to catch up with something.
To catch up with
To
something?
catch, yes. If you're running into somebody and you catch him, what is the?
That's in physical.
Yeah. So hasaga is when the inyan is fully grasped by the person. In other words, it's known and understood at the worldly level rather than at the ruchnisike and the godly level.
Shouldn't that be comprehend?
Chochmah is seeing things the way they are in their source. Binah is comprehended within the worldly limits and the worldly structure. Chochmah, the whole principle of Chochmah is within the realm of knowledge, needs to be still discussed. As the Rebbe says, we'll still discuss it, we'll still understand. Why is it knowledge? This is something that you're part of the reality. This is just like rotzen. You're participating. Nonetheless, in Chochmah there is union of yediah, but it does not compare to the yediah as it is in binah, because in binah is the full hasod. So this remains to be exposed and be discussed. The mashal that the Rebbe gives for this is Or HaShemesh, sunlight. And we discussed many times that Or HaShemesh, the sunlight as it is in its own abode, so it should be its own reality. What you see as a result of sunlight, or a daylight as we always emphasize, it is not like something that you realize, oh, I could see it. It's visible automatically. Because it's visible, that's why you see it. Because it's there, that's why you see it. They're not two separate steps of it being there and you seeing it.
Seeing the light or seeing objects?
The object. This is the way the El HaShemesh is in its own abode, in its own expanse. Outside of any obstacles, any obstructions, outside of the house. Then inside the house, it also illuminates. But there it comes through a certain conduit, through a window or through a peephole and so forth.
What's the difference?
And then we have the Yin in Hasoga, in Seichel. In Seichel we have the way things are known at the Chochmah level, and then we have the things as they are known further down at the binah level. Where you draw from the Chochmah that which can be fully comprehended. Chochmah is like seeing things in its own abode, in the reality itself. It is not something that really makes sense to you. You just happen to be there. Whereas binah is where you are adjusting your understanding to your own limits, to your own viewpoint. This is binah. And this is what the Rebbe says, that the oyer is reduced as it goes down. So in any seichel, in any halacha, there is the initial perception, the initial truth of the seichel itself, and then there is a whole discussion as to how should it be translated in psak in the practice. This translation in psak in practice is called psak din, something which isolates the seichel to a definitive point. Under these circumstances, this is what you do. This action, this conclusion in action, even though it's extremely narrow, it applies to a specific circumstance. Nonetheless, in this psak din is contained the entire richness, the entire expanse of the whole seichel. Because the psak din is reached after the full examination of the seichel from every angle, and that's when the psak din comes out. So the Rebbe concludes this is where we're up to. When you get the psak din, it's a narrow statement. But the thing, this psak din, is contained internally. Not in a very expressed manner, but nevertheless internally there's all the reasonings and all the causes for this psak din. Rak, okay, here's where up to this line. Okay, the line begins boycott Ami. Rak except Sheheim behelem vein nikorim begili. Except that all the reasoning, all the timing are behelem, are on a subtle manner, in a concealed manner. Not that they're concealed, they're being hidden away, but you don't see them because you are focused in a very narrow point. So you don't see all the reasonings that behind it. But it is enriched by that which is.
On this call, press 1.
But it is enriched by that which is.
Returning to the conference room.
It is enriched by that which brought about this psak din. Even though you don't see it expressly, nonetheless the psak din is not just a narrow statement.
Can I ask something?
Yeah, sure.
What is the point of this? We're trying to Chochmah and binah. So what is
The point is this is
psak din?
good. The point in this is to understand that even in binah there is oir, and then
So
as it goes down even further. Excuse me.
This psak din is the binah. Is the binah, and we were trying to explain that in the binah there is behind it the helm, the oil.
This psak din is even further down from binah. Binah is that which understands the whole chochmah. This is something which is taking it to a different level, what's called to the practical level, completely into a worldly arena. What do I do? The question of what do I do is not what's right, but what's the truth, but what do I do under these circumstances? Nonetheless, in this statement, what do I do, and he said what you do, is contained the entire richness that brought about this conclusion.
Yeah, but I'm trying to understand what sequence, where do you coming? We're saying that it's even further than binah. So we're trying to understand what's further than binah now.
All right. So we need a mashal. Here's a mashal. You enter a home, and it's a furnished home, and there is tables and chairs, and all kinds of different furnishings. You would come in and you stay and say, okay, where do I go? So you're shown, you go to this place. Then you ask, so how do I get there? You have to go around the table, you come around this way, and you pull out the chair and you sit down. Now this method of getting around, number one, to identify where you should go, and then how to get there. This entire structure, so to speak, was designed initially. In other words, the reason that you have to go around the table and you have to get to a certain spot is not in its own purpose. It is because you are part of the whole setting. Because there's something bigger involved than just your seat. And you want to participate in that which is bigger. You don't want to just move the tables around and get to your place. You recognize the significance of their stand, of their being. And then ultimately when you find your place, this place that you are assigned has a certain richness. It's part of a bigger reality. You're participating in whatever it is in the gathering. You're not just having a seat. The seat is a psak din. But what does it represent? Why are you sitting there? Because you have a place to sit? Even though what you are doing is exactly that, you have a place to sit. But in this experience of sitting is contained the entire meaning of your being there. I think this should be clear now.
Yeah, I understand what is being said, but I'm just don't understand what it is synonymous to. Is it
Why what?
further than binah? He's trying to give a mushal. What's the nimshal? This is what I'm trying
This
to.
guy is not connected.
He sees you. This is a
Oh, that's a separate
video
thing.
call.
So how, are you on the telephone?
No, other people on the bridge. He's on the video
No.
call.
Oh, I see. Okay, go ahead. So what's your question? Because you have to hear.
I don't understand the nimshal. I understand the mushal, I think, but not the nimshal. What is he trying to explain with this? Because it's being said it's not even binah. So what is he trying to understand? That's what.
He's trying to explain how the oil can descend lower and lower from Chochmah into binah and then further down. Like you said, in binah it shines through. Binah it is hasoga, and then he comes in zoin haloin, and then he comes through a window, and then he comes to an opening in the wall, and so forth. This is all musholim. What is the meaning of the mushal? That it is not present. The light is not present because the light is present, but because it's allowed in. And what's the significance of that? The significance of that, and that is that you have light despite the fact that you remains in a lightless place. But initially it is not lit up. In other words, it comes into a worldly arena, into world. This is the principle of Milo or Mato. Milo means that which is closer to the source. And Mato is that which descends into a lower level where there is not the oil, and oil comes. Nevertheless, the oil comes there through a process, through a limited process.
Okay, understand.
Okay. So in this psak din, as we give the moshel of this sitting arrangement, is contained the entire significance and richness that went into the design of this whole thing, and the reason for it all. Nonetheless, when you say to somebody, sit in this place, he sees only a place to sit. But everything else is contained there behelim. This is what he says. Rak in Seichel also found the whole, all the svaras and the whole pupil that brought about the psak din. But the psak din is contained behechem, all the reasonings are contained in psak din. Rak except shehem behelim. All the entire expanse of the discussion is behelim, is contained in a subtle manner. Ve'enam yikorim begilui, and they're not recognizable begilui in an express manner. Is it clear? I think so. Chochmah HaMishnah, as in the case of a Mishnah, the Mishnah is Kitzur, is the brief, Shabo Achar Ha'arichus, that comes after the expanse. Shoyoes Lam Kol Ha'inyan B'Riba Itaimus, so people got, but by then, by the Tanoim, this Inyan was in great expanse, with many reasons and many svaras and sources and inferences. People got, and yet, after all that, calls this entire discussion. It comes into the Mishnah b'derech tzora in a brief manner. So the fact that it comes in a brief manner does not mean that all the svaras and all the enrichment that brought to it has now been eliminated. It means it is concealed. It is contained there in a subtle manner. But it still contains, the derech tzora, this brief statement, represents the entire enrichment that came behind it.
Mishnah contains all the discussions from the Gemara?
Not from the Gemara, before the Gemara. The Tanoim, when they came up with the conclusion of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is like a brief statement of their long discussions of the Tanoim.
Doesn't that contradict the idea of that everything was by Masorah?
No, they're going to stop it. So the Tanoim discussed the halacha, and they discussed this in all kinds of different reasons. In the Mishnah, actually, there are many opinions. All these opinions have their own substantiation. all the substantiations, all the reasoning behind their statements are represented in the Mishnah, except in the Mishnah it's represented in a very brief, in a concealed manner. We must say, at the end of that line, that in a concealed manner, in an underlying manner, is present and contained in this brief, kol ha'arichus, in the entire expanse that brought about the psak din shaharei, since that hapsak din bo mikol ha'arichus ha'pilpul, since the psak din, this conclusion of the hadin, came out from the kol ha'arichus, from the entire lengthy discussion of pilpul. Since that this is the result of the entire pilpul on the entire discussion, REBBE hechach, thus it must be. Then it is imperative to say, that in this brief is contained all the reasoning and all the reasons and all the reasonings, so to speak, in the arguments. Since that this is the conclusion of all this whole discussion. Rak, except sheheim behelem, except that all those things which because the background for the psak din are behelem. In the psak din, they are there in a subtle and a concealed, in an undertone manner. They're not recognized begilui in an express manner. Ukmei HaMishnah, as the Mishnah, Hareze Kitzur, which is the brief, Shebo Achar Ho'arichus, which comes after the lengthy discussion, Shehoya Etzlam, Kol Ho'inyan, but by the Talmudim, this inyan was Beribui Timing Misvores people Godel, with many reasons and reasonings, people Godel and great intricate people. People is the pshat when you have many different similar situations and you are isolating what belongs in this question, what doesn't belong in this question. The people Godel. This entire discussion, what you include and what you exclude, all those things comes in the Mishnah B'Kitzur Godel B'Kitzur. It comes out in the Mishnah in a very brief statement. But that statement is a representation of the entire background that brought you to this conclusion. Then afterwards, the Gemara delves into the Mishnah and it expands on the Mishnah. The Gemara draws the entire expanse that substantiates the Mishnah. It draws it from the brief of the Mishnah. It broadens out again. I'm sorry I stopped you. I want you to understand. You have to ask questions from any place else. It doesn't belong here at the time when you're learning this. Here you're trying to understand just what is being said, not how it compares to something else that you heard. That does not fit into trying to understand what is being learned. After that you learn it. These are the people. Then you can ask questions. How does that fit with this? How does that fit with this? But first you have to understand what is being said.
All right, but I just didn't I never associated pilpul with Mishnah. I thought it was just rabbis coming and gathering and
pilpul. Mishnah is not a pilpul. Mishnah is is the pupil that brought to the mission is completely concealed. That's what he's exactly
There was
saying.
pupil.
You're not listening to what I'm saying. The pupil brought to the conclusion, but we have in the mission is only the conclusion. You don't have any pupil. You don't see anything in the mission. That's why the Chacham in the Gemara have to draw the whole thing from the Mishnah, draw it out from the words of the Mishnah.
Yeah. What's to say here about? It seems like before the Mishnah there was broad discussion. Then it becomes more. The Kitzur becomes more into Mishnah statement. Then after that, right?
Right.
Menachem Av Inyan. Again, a broadening out.
Right.
By Gemara. What is back
So
and
what?
forth?
Okay, very good, very good. Okay.
That's
What?
it's a good question.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, you got substantiation. We said before that there is the light that comes directly from its source. Then how the light comes through a window. Then how the light comes through a little opening in the wall. We said, what's the difference? The light coming through the window is the same light. And it comes to an opening in the wall, it's also the same light.
Right.
What's the difference? The difference is when you have the light coming directly, unobstructed, like it comes, it's called daylight. So we pointed out daylight is not showing you anything that's there. It's not saying, look at this, look at this. There isn't that element at all. The fact that you see is inadvertent. It's there, that's why you see it. So it's light, daylight reveals to you the truth of what's going on, what there is in life. When it comes through a window, what's the significance of a window? A window is an opening made for the purpose of allowing some light to come in, to allow you to see what is necessary to see, not to see everything. That's what we say. To check chometz, a window is not enough. To see your way around the tables, a window is enough. But to check for minor things in little cracks in the wall, it's not enough. So the principle of a window is, the light itself is the same, but it comes to you in a very focused manner. In other words, please understand the difference. I'm going to put it in words. When you have an opening open to the daylight, it does not say, look at this, look at this. It says, it removes all obstacles, all obstructions. You see it because it's there to be seen, not because it is meant to be to see it. Whereas in a window, you see that which is meant for you to see. That's what the window is about.
Okay.
What's the difference? That's what your mannerism.
I'm saying how it relates to the nimshal how?
Okay. If it says that this is meant for you to see, that means that this is not the way things are in their original truth, but how it pertains to you in a practical way.
That would correspond to psak or to the Mishnah in our
That's
case.
right.
Yeah.
It's the same light, but it's in a very contained manner that focuses on something very specific that pertains to your action.
Yeah, and the sequence would seem to go from there to
Okay.
Shulchan Aruch, but instead we go to Mizracha.
Okay, so now the Gemara, that's right. The Gemara goes on and starts digging into the psak, into the Mishnah, into the brevity of the Mishnah. And then it broadens it out. It says, what's the reason that Mishnah says this? What's the reason for this? What is the source of this? And so on. Of the whole thing, it kind of recreates the whole people that the Mishnah went through. So what's the difference? The difference is that that every statement in the Gemara already is trying to explain an existing psak din. Not how is this thing true on a different level, on a truth level. How is that explain a psak din? In other words, yes, it shows you everything that's contained therein, but it shows you as it is contained within the psak din, rather as it is in its source.
Is that, and that's an attempt to, I mean...
We have to have a mashal, otherwise we're going in circles. Let's go back to the mashal of the sitting arrangements on the table.
Well, let me just put it this way. It would seem with the mashal of the light and then the window that this is like an attempt to get back to the daylight, get back to where everything was clear, no?
No.
No, it's not that.
No, not to get back there. To show how that in is contained is represented here also.
So to illustrate how the greater light is reduced into this ruling,
that's
yes?
Right. To show that how what's this substantiation of this what you have, but it's what you have, not go back to the source.
Okay.
When you were invited to, and they said, okay, come in, sit down over here. You're not going to ask me, okay, what is this meeting all about? By the time you're there, you already know what this meeting is about. And now it is being apportioned and set up in a certain way. All that is to enable the meeting to go on. But okay, so you don't ask, what is this whole thing about? And nonetheless, if it is set up in a certain order, so that people should sit around the table and be able to communicate and discuss things, that is representative of the original purpose. Okay? This is it for this morning. I know that to try to avoid mishalim is folly. You have to go right away to something concrete. So have a great day.